Today is Tuesday, April 12, 2022. I'm Pastor Michael, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Our text is from Luke 23. Two other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there, along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. Verse 32 to 34. It's the hush in the middle of the storm. Here stands the crowd of thugs who arrested him in the garden. They knew what they were doing, earning a night's pay. It's likely they didn't know Jesus well, if at all, indifferent to his guilt or innocence. Here stand the disciples who abandoned him. They knew what they were doing. They had sworn to stick with him, to intervene, not to let this happen. But it had happened. They had run when Jesus needed them. Here stands the high priest, surrounded by his minions. They had brought false charges against him. They knew what they were doing, getting rid of him. This Jesus had constantly eaten away at their control over the Jewish people. He didn't mind pointing out their hypocrisy and abuse of power. It was time to be rid of him. Death by crucifixion was the surest way to be rid of him. No one had yet survived. Here stand the soldiers who had beaten him to inches of his life. They knew what they were doing. They had been trained for this beating, this torture, this humiliation. It was their game, their thing. It was the one thing they were good at, very good at, all in a night's work. Here stand the women who had cared for his needs and followed him. Maybe they weren't quite sure what they were doing here. They had followed him and cared for him quietly, in the shadows mostly. They would stick with him to the bitter end. Among all those at the foot of the cross, they illustrate for us what discipleship truly looks like. See yesterday's Wilderness Wanderings for more on that. In that moment of silence, when all the cruel work of trial and torture and crucifixion was finished, Jesus gasps for breath. They all hush. He seems to look at each in turn, the disciples, the woman, the soldiers, the leaders. He's going to say something, but what? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Suddenly, we become bystanders, eavesdroppers on a deep conversation in the heart of the Trinity. This is not about all those people, not about us. For us, yes. This is about God, the triune Creator God. We think we know how to live, but look at our lives. We know how to love, but look at the hate in our hearts. And Jesus cuts across all our puny efforts to play nice to God and says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's so counterintuitive, so astonishing. We don't do it this way. We want people to know first how much it hurt, how deep, how lasting, how permanent the scars they have inflicted on us. People must know, they must earn the right. They must demonstrate they won't hurt us again. Then we will think about forgiving. Yet here, from the cross, is preemptive forgiveness. We end with forgiveness. Jesus begins with it. All those scoundrels and deserters and false accusers gathered around the cross. The first words out of his mouth, Father, forgive. The first word of God was, let there be light. The first word of redemption is, Father, forgive. The first word into our darkness, Father, forgive. This is not about us. For us, yes, but not about us. It is about God, about his desire to have us back, about the depth of the pain he endured to bring us back. If God is going to wait until we know the wrong we have done, God will wait forever. If God's going to wait to talk with me until I first admit that I'm a sinner, the conversation will never occur. I'll be too defensive, too deceitful in my guilt. I'd rather die. Did you conspire to crucify the Son of God? Who, me? Why are you always picking on me? I'm doing the best I can. Our salvation begins with these words, you are forgiven. Hear Jesus anew. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. As you journey on, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.